Today's episode is brought to you by Spreadsheets. Spreadsheets. When you finally realize you're essentially just doing math in disguise. Spreadsheets. Hello there, and welcome back to the SWTVC podcast, the audio home of the SWTVC March Madness 2022 tournament. I'm your host, Evan Fries, here in virtual Zoom studio with my fellow SWTVC contributor and walking Star Wars encyclopedia, John Lindquist. Week 1 of the tournament has concluded, and what a week it was. 64 Star Wars characters started this week, all firmly planted on this year's bracket after we tabulated hundreds of fan wish lists, with Count Dooku going into the week as the number 1 seed. The Dark Trooper was number 2, and the Skywalker twins Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker in their A New Hope garb ran up slots 3 and 4 respectively, and Director Krennic rounded out the top 5. Figures from all corners of our beloved galaxy far, far away were present on this year's bracket, with fans of all eras of Star Wars coming out to cheer on their favorites. To break it down real quick, I'm going to turn it over to John.
All right, so in order of how many from each source there were, the original trilogy had 19. If you want to break that down further, A New Hope had 6, Empire Strikes Back had 2, Return of the Jedi represented very strongly with 11. Rebels and Mando each had 8. Rebels was the entire Ghost crew, plus Thrawn and the Grand Inquisitor. The Clone Wars had 6. The Bad Batch also had 6, the entire Bad Batch. The sequel trilogy had 5. All of whom appeared in The Rise of Skywalker, including Han in his Episode 7 Force Awakens look. Rogue One had 4. Solo, The Book of Boba Fett, and Jedi Fallen Order each had 2. And the prequel trilogy and Legends, or the Expanded Universe, each had 1, including the number 1 seed, Count Dooku, as seen in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith.
Awesome. Should we talk about it a little bit?
Let's talk about it a little bit, yeah.
All right. Well, it's good to see a little bit of sequel trilogy representation. I know some folks moaned that fact. But kind of going back to the whole thing where it was representing all eras of Star Wars, where the vintage collection, to me personally, I think, it's nice if it covers all of it, not just the OT and Mando. How about you, John?
I would have to agree. And clearly those two are very strongly still wanted by folks, as seen in this bracket, is seen in the seeding.
For sure.
The original trilogy did super well, especially early on in the rankings. And I've seen a lot of comments of, people are worried that some of the original trilogy characters aren't advancing as much. There's been a lot of upsets against them. Some people kind of assume that the original 96 are still coming. Hasbro has not actually officially said that they are going to finish the 96. It's just sort of, that's our hashtag. It's sort of assumed that it will happen. So maybe some people are like, we want a new character instead of a definitive version of a character we've had multiple times before. Lots of different factors going into it. But yes, clearly there is demand for stuff from all eras of Star Wars, or eras, you might even say. And in some cases, like, Jedi Fallen Order, Rebels, Bad Batch, we don't have the main characters of those stories, of those pieces of content, if you want to be really clinical about it, those stories. So yeah, it would be nice to start with those, even though we have some background characters and stuff. But yes, it's easy for fans to rally around those particular characters, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas for the original trilogy, in addition to the main characters from A New Hope, there was a lot of background characters from Jabba's palace. Because we've already gotten so many that we can kind of branch out into other weird directions. But some of these properties still need the main characters. So yeah,
definitely. I was surprised that the prequel trilogy was underrepresented with only one character. I mean, granted, as we said, it's the number 1 seed. But that said, those films were all covered extensively over the last decade and a half. Very, very well covered. It's hard to imagine many characters that weren't made other than some that you had on your list.
Yes, we need Klieg and we need Kitster and Wald, of course. Obviously, we all want them.
Yeah.
Aside from their very robust movie lines that came out when the movies were new, even before the movies were new, for years after the fact, we got dozens and hundreds of figures from those films. Through, there weren't a ton in the vintage collection, I guess. They had quite a few in the TVC 1.0. But even in things like Legacy Collection or 30th Anniversary Collection, where there were still very good quality figures being made from the prequels. So, some of the Jedi ranked in the top 100, like Plo Koon and Shaak Ti, which made it on last year, but like we have figures of them, so there's not as huge a need now that more and more content keeps coming out without any figures from them. I think people are kind of, looking towards those, except Dooku. Dooku was very clearly desired, obviously.
Yes. More old men in the line.
Yes.
All right. Well, I could talk about this all day, but let's go ahead and move on and get into the actual tournament itself. The Western Conference of 32 characters all had their matchups on Monday, March 7th, while the Eastern 32 competed on Wednesday, March 9th. On Friday, March 11th, the Western Conference then whittled down their ranks, deciding on which 8 characters are being sent into the Sweet 16. So kicking off the Western 8, let's start with, as we've talked about him before a couple times already, number 1, Count Dooku, the sole prequel trilogy character of the tournament. Earlier this week, he had a tougher than expected showdown against number 64, the Tusken Chieftain, a new character. And then he just managed to defeat Echo from the Bad Batch on Friday with a final score of 1,140 to 954. Next up, number 48, Pre Vizsla, who managed to defeat number 17, Hunter from the Bad Batch, in an upset in round 1, and then toppling another much higher ranked character, number 16, Velkan Taziri, handily, with a final score of 1,679 to 442. Number 9, Kanan Jarrus, kicked off the week, easily defeating number 56, Han Solo from Takodana, but then finding it a bit more difficult to defeat number 24, Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi, although still walking away with the solid victory of 1,294 to 835. For our next Western 8 character, I'm going to go ahead and throw to SWTVC field correspondent and goth chick music enthusiast, Carlo Velasquez.
Thanks, Evan. Carlo Velasquez reporting in. This first week was a roller coaster of emotions for me. My girl Trilla Suduri, aka the second sister Inquisitor, started the week strong, ranked at number 25 in the tournament, as well as personally being my pick to sweep the tournament. She easily ended day 1 with a commanding victory over number 40 Shazatiel, slicing the Ishitib shit short. On Friday, though, she made up with longtime nemesis number 8 called Kestis in a rematch, hot off the heels of his impressive victory over number 57 Biker Scout. The force must have been with the young Jedi, as unfortunately, he was able to narrowly defeat her 1,025 to 942 votes. While my bracket was kind of dashier, at least she put up a major fight, and it was obviously a very tough match for fans to choose. Let's hope Hasbro doesn't make us choose, and we get both Trilla and Cal in TVC. But for now, number 8, Cal Kestis, has secured a spot in the Sweet 16, where he'll be going up against another Jedi Purge survivor. Will he make it another round? I would be running back to Braca if I was him. Back to you, Evan.
Thanks, Carlo. I'm sorry to hear your top pick won't be advancing, but I agree, Trilla did put up one hell of a fight. Now it's time to turn it over to SWTVC foreign correspondent and man of mystery, Lewis Cook.
Cheers, Evan. It's been a crazy first week, and I really do feel Carlo's pain. So number 29 seed, Asajj Ventress, began her week by breezing past the notorious leader of Crimson Dawn, number 36 seed, Dryden Voss. For those of you who've been following things, Dryden was my number 1 pick going into the year and the ultimate winner of my bracket. The villainous crime lord who has never been made in 3.75 action figure form just didn't have enough red anger in his face to carry him through against the dual saber wielding Sith apprentice, as he was only able to pick up 567 votes against Ventress's 1,805 votes. Dryden never asks for anything twice, but I'm not so proud, and I'll be asking for him again next year. Ventress, though, carried her momentum into Friday, easily toppling number 4 seed Luke Skywalker at Tatooine with a score of 1,431 votes against 689 in a major upset and cementing her spot in the Sweet 16. It will be interesting to see if she can carry that momentum forward when she meets up with Baze in their upcoming match. Back to you, Evan.
Awesome. Thanks for the rundown, Lewis. Sorry about Dryden, but hey, at least he went out against a very powerful opponent. While we're on the train of our number 1 picks getting eliminated, how did Sweet Simaloo fare, John?
Not great. So number 20, Sweet Simaloo, lost to number 45, a good boy, Gap Sweater Ben Solo, number 45. Ben won 1,421 to 934. Apparently, people don't want that beautiful removable hat on Simu, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say. People talk about, original trilogy all day over sequel trilogy. I didn't see it here. We'll get into Ben in a minute. But because the sequel trilogy has been losing generally, as I said earlier, sometimes the original 96 picks, sometimes people think they're a shoo-in, that they're absolutely 100% going to get made. I disagree, even though, they've brought it up a few times in live streams and stuff. It's never been a 100% we're going to #finish the 96. So that was sort of why I wanted to support Simu as the the only unmade, completely unmade, unupdated figure from the vintage Kenner days. Ewoks and droids not included, of course. So yeah, Ben was also on my list. So if Sim had to lose, Ben was a good one. Ben fought hard. He came out of the pit and he almost gave his life to Sim, but didn't have to. So it's all good. It's all good.
Well, yeah, he did come back out of that pit to fight, but boy, was my joy there short-lived, much like in the movie. My boy Ben Solo wasn't quite able to defeat the fan favorite Guardian of the Whills, number 13, Baze Malbus on Friday, which I must admit I expected. What I didn't expect was that good boy Ben would put up a pretty decent fight, managing to end up with 900 points to Baze's 1,200. I said before the tournament began that I didn't even expect him to rank on the bracket, let alone advance past the first round, so I'm proud of his performance and very encouraged by fans turning out to show their support for him deserving to be on Hasbro's radar for addition to the vintage collection. I mean, come on, he's the last blood Skywalker, the son of Han and Leia, but hey, I'm very happy for Baze, as he deserves to be reunited with his buddy Chirrut, who is already present in TVC. Next up in the Western Conference is number 12, Sabine Wren, who barely eked out a victory over number 53, Savage Press, on Monday. Savage managed to defeat Sabine in the Instagram polls by 12 points, but the Google polls, mainly driven by Facebook voters, closed the gap, and she ended up narrowly defeating Maul's brother by 11 points for a final score of 1,194 to 1,183. Our Mandalorian heroine went on to face off against number 44, Crosshair, who had previously edged out number 21, Tessic, aka Squidhead, on Monday. While that was another close matchup, it wasn't close enough, with Sabine securing her spot in the Sweet 16. All right, and rounding out the Western Conference's Sweet 16 competitors is number 37, Darth Revan. He pulled off a narrow upset over number 28, Pong Krell, in the first round, 1,265 to 1,116. They then managed yet another upset over number 5, Director Krennic, who had previously mopped the floor with number 60, Grief Karga, in his Navarro Cantina look in round 1. Revan defeated the prideful overseer of Project Stardust, 1,243 to 862, to secure his advancement. Back to you, John.
So the Eastern Conference will whittle down to 8 characters on Monday, March 14th, but for now, there are still 16 characters in the hunt for glory. In one of the most dominating victories, number 2 Dark Trooper made short work of number 63 Finn from Pisana in Wednesday's polls. The Dark Trooper will be going up against number 34 8D8. 8D8 also had an incredibly close matchup this week, defeating number 31 Emperor Palpatine Sith Eternal, 1,218 to 1,197. In another deciding batch of votes via the Facebook-driven Google poll. Palpatine led the Instagram poll by 15 points, but wasn't able to maintain that lead once the totals from the two platforms were put together. Very tough matchup. Both characters, of course, debuted in Return of the Jedi and have appeared more recently. Palpatine coming back, returning somehow in The Rise of Skywalker, and 8D8 returning quite logically in the Book of Boba Fett, voiced by Matt Berry. Shout out, as always, to Matt Berry. Yeah, do you think 8D8's appearance in Book of Boba Fett kind of pushed him over the edge? Because that was kind of when the voting was happening.
It may have. That's kind of an interesting one. It's like 8D8, older character, but more recent appearance with... Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell if the recency bias, since it wasn't a new look for 8D8, whereas Palpatine was a new look, but I don't know. Like you said, one of them made a little more sense. That one, it's tricky to talk about recency bias. That it's easy to blame it on that. But if you actually look at the polls, that's not always what's going on. Because plenty of older characters, like say Darth Revan, was from almost 20 years ago now. Yeah, and he's doing quite well against characters from Clone Wars and Bad Batch and whatnot. So who knows? Yeah, it doesn't hurt. We'll just say that. Yeah, it doesn't hurt. But it was an extremely close matchup. So
Sorry, Palps. Better luck next time. He's always got these grand plans that just kind of come unraveled at the last minute. So, devil's in the details, Sheev. Yeah. So sadly, it was also not hashtag time for Tonica on Wednesday when number 47 C110P Chopper, breezed by the unmade Cantina denizens, ranked at number 18. In another upset, number 50 Saw Gerrera saved himself by defeating number 15 The Client. Number 10 Harrison Dula made short work of number 55 Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Number 23, Admiral Piet managed a narrow victory over the new leader of Crimson Dawn and the master of Terras Kasi herself, number 42, Kira. Another high-ranking Imperial managed to advance, but for that, we gotta hand it over to SWTVC correspondent and possible bad guy, Tyler Frechette.
Thanks, John. Tyler reporting in. My personal favorite, who ranked number 1 in my top 25 list, Grand Admiral Thrawn, earned the number 7 seed heading into the tournament. The Chiss Grand Admiral faced off against number 58 Amanaman in his first matchup and easily defeated the Amani Headhunter 1,951 votes to 489. But he's not the only blue-skinned, red-eyed baddie in the hunt for TVC glory. Number 26 Cad Bane crushed number 39 Q90 1,926 votes to 515 in his first matchup. One has to imagine the Duros bounty hunter was given a boost by his recent live-action debut in the final couple of chapters of the Book of Boba Fett, which aired after the top 25 submissions closed. Will that boost carry over into his next matchup and allow him to topple the Grand Admiral? Or will Thrawn's legendary, or Legends Dairy, if you will, reputation, not to mention the anticipation of his looming live-action debut, keep him alive to secure his spot in the Sweet 16 of the tournament? We'll find out. Obviously, I'm rooting for Thrawn. Don't forget, he's about to be the big bad of everything going forward. Back to you, John.
Tyler is the only one with his number 1 pick still in the tournament. Sorry, Sim. Sorry, Dryden. Sorry, Ben. Sorry, Trilla. But perhaps Thrawn will see it through. It will be interesting to see how that Battle of the Blue Boys shakes out. Not our first Battle of the Blue Boys of the tournament. Number 6, Paz Vizsla, managed to outclass number 59, Max Rebo, in a heavyweight showdown, winning 1,789 to 645. And thank you for letting me say this word. Number 3, Princess Leia Tantive 4, breezed by number 62, Fozek. Number 35, Tech from the Bad Batch, managed to pull off an upset by defeating number 30, Han Solo, Tatooine, is a New Hope look. On Wednesday, the awesome Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer dropped right in the middle of voting and shocked us all by featuring another live-action debut of a popular animated character, the Grand Inquisitor. Ranked at number 46, the Grand Inquisitor managed to upset number 19, Ezra Bridger. If only Kanan had been there to assist his apprentice this time. He'll be facing off against number 14, Cobb Vanth. So will the hype from the Obi-Wan trailer keep the Grand Inquisitor on a roll? Or could our favorite Marshal end up stopping him, like he, sadly, stopped number 51, Frog Lady in the first matchup? Number 54, Jedi Temple Guard, managed to pull off a major upset against number 11, Moma Nadon. I will say that the Jedi Temple Guard did extremely well last year, pulling off a number of upsets and getting much farther than his seeding would have indicated. Number 22, Chrysantan, demolished the sadistic number 43, EV99, 2,057 to 361. And true to his name, number 27, Wrecker, wrecked number 38, Bodhi Rook. Sorry, Evan.
It's okay. It's okay. I think I'll live, but I am sad.
Tough choices already had, tough choices coming up, only getting tougher.
Yeah. It would be boring if they were all easy choices. So in a way, I'm glad that they're devastatingly heartbreaking to choose in a lot of instances.
Yes, we've said it before, we'll say it again. We want all these characters in the Vintage Collection. The fact that they, placed on so many fan lists and there's so much passion around all of these matchups, it's awesome to see all the conversations. It means we want all of them in the line, time permitting. I got to go back to Pre Vizsla earlier. He also, similar to the Jedi Temple Guard, did super well last year. He really knocked out a lot of people. This year, he knocked out Hunter, which I was sad about, Velkin Tazeri, which I was sad about. Pre Vizsla, they've got so many new Mandalorians coming this year from the Clone Wars. He just needs a new head, a new jetpack, different helmet if you like. For both do both versions, get him off the bracket. We need new characters to be on the bracket. Yeah, some of the other Clone Wars characters that did well last year, like Savage Opress, will not be advancing this year, of course. It's just interesting to see, some of the matchups are super tough. Some, maybe not so much for some people, but yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's all fun. How about that?
Yeah. Who knew? What a novel thought. Speaking of characters that were on last year's bracket that did pretty well, the number 2 seed this year is the Dark Trooper. What was he ranked last year, John? Number 5?
He was ranked number 5, yeah, because he was in the final 4,
Yes.
but Thrawn was the number 4 seed.
Yep. That was, that's
yeah.
tough. The Dark Trooper is the only one of the final 4 that has not been either made or announced for the Vintage Collection since last year's tournament.
The others were Bo-Katan, Kryze, Boba Fett in his re-armored Morak look, and then Ahsoka Tano Corvus. So Bo-Katan, we have her. She's great. The other 2 are coming soon.
Soon, relatively.
Relatively soon in the grand cosmic scheme of things.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a matchup too. His going into the tournament. I was not surprised that he really put it to Finn in that matchup on the first one. But yeah,
we saw what he did to Mando, and Mando had the Beskar armor, so Finn sadly did not stand a chance.
Nope.
But I said before, I want Finn. We need him in the Vintage Collection. Dark Trooper kind of seems like a foregone conclusion. A very obvious fan request from an incredibly popular scene.
I personally did not vote for the Dark Trooper myself, not because I don't want him. I definitely do very much. But I got to think that, the way I voted was taking it for granted that, yes, that's a character that has to be on, has to be likely, has to be coming at some point, compared to more of an underdog like Finn. So,
yes. Though then again, similar to what I said with the Finish the 96 stuff, like we don't know.
Yep.
You'd think a lot of these have to be coming. You'd think the main villain of episode 9 would have to be coming, and is neither of them. You'd think the main characters of video games that they've made, army builders for would have to be coming, but they're not. The main characters of TV shows. There's no, I just said he was a foregone conclusion, but there's no such thing as a foregone conclusion these days.
Yeah.
Things are getting better. Things are getting much better. I think, representation from the new media is a lot better, in addition to amazing updates from classic media. So things are headed in the right direction, but, if only we can get all 64 of these figures tomorrow, but we can't.
Yep. In a perfect world, but nothing is a given, as you said. So
yes.
Is there anything else we want to talk about, John?
I don't think so.
Cool. All right. Well, then let's wrap this up, shall we? March Madness continues all month over on Instagram. Be sure to follow us at SWTVC for all the latest developments, as well as to vote in our stories. Polls are open all day, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. If you have any questions, be sure to let us know, and don't forget to join the discussion on our daily posts. Huge thank you to all who have participated so far, and to John for staying up super late getting all this stuff taken care of almost every night. So
it's Midnight Madness.
Yeah. We got to have it. I haven't had it in a while, so we got to make our own. Anyway, thanks, John. For the SWTVC podcast, I'm Evan, and as always, participate in SWTVC March Madness, back TVC, keep 375 alive, and may the Force be with you.